Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Of course, this is Ruby D of Ruby D Artistry, and I'm inviting Allison now. So I hope everybody is enjoying themselves this Sunday, and I am hoping that you all had a very happy holiday, spending time with family. Come on, Allison. I know you got my invite. So we are back again. Hey, boo.
Hi.
Now you could have told me you was gonna get on here all pretty and things. You know, I could have put on some lip gloss or something.
No, I'm coming from something else. I didn't have time to take it off.
Okay, we'll go take it off. Now I'm playing. Hi, Ashley, and thank you all for watching. Uh-oh, wait a minute. Is everything clear? Ashley, am I clear or you know how I don't even know what happened last time. But I'm trying to see. Make sure everything is clear. We don't have any issues. It's not pixelated.
So far, so good on my end.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I'm on my laptop and it's looking really weird. Let me close out and go back. Because I need to be able to see comments because I'm not going to be able to. Well, I guess I can still hold my phone in my hand. Because I still don't know what my tripod is. Can y'all please let me know if you can see us clearly? And you can hear us clearly because we can see and hear each other, but I don't know about everybody else. How was your Thanksgiving?
No complaints. It was beautiful. How about yours?
Girl, I think I gained like 4 pounds. No, I don't gain weight.
I made myself stay at a 1 plate minimum and a 1 dessert minimum, and I met that goal, but it was hard because that food was really, really good.
Oh,
It was
well,
really good.
I did pretty good, but my mom know I loves her dressing. So if I didn't eat anything else 5 times, I ate that 5 times. So, but
I
everything else,
understand.
I'm pretty much like, no. But the dressing, I've been tearing the dressing up since Thursday.
Wow.
But I don't know. I was trying to see. I don't even know how to invite people. Well, let me try this. Let me see if I. Oh, okay. All I gotta do if I guess if I can figure it out if I put in some effort and invite some people. I ain't finna invite everybody though, just a few people. Um, that's enough because there's so many people in here I could be inviting. But we're gonna go ahead and get started. Happy Sunday afternoon, everybody. Of course, this is Ruby D of Ruby D Artistry, and I'm a goddess entrepreneur, and I'm here with.
Allison Denise with Be Still and Move, the organization that's designed to help you heal, grow, and live beyond that relationship status by becoming better, not bitter, and enjoying your life along the journey.
And of course, we started last Sunday with doing Soul Sunday, and it's just our way of preparing ourselves for the week that's coming. Or if you had a great week, then this will be an even better ending for that particular week. Last week, we talked about energies and discernment. And if you haven't watched that video, I've been sharing it all week. I'm going to share it again and I'm going to keep sharing it. So I'm pretty sure you will watch it at some particular point. But
Yes.
today's topic is accountability and checking yourself. So we're going to start there. And please feel free to share this on your timeline. You know, like it, engage, make comments, ask questions. The whole purpose of us doing this is to have wonderful conversation on a Sunday
Yeah.
about things that we don't normally talk about
Mm-hmm.
or have anybody to talk about it with.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely engage. It makes it more interesting for us as well as yourself and those watching. So, since today's topic is accountability and checking yourself, one of the reasons we chose that particular topic is because, of course, with it being the holiday seasons and we sometimes feel a certain way, we like to blame others for why we are dealing with or why we are going through what we're going through, and very seldom do we hold ourselves accountable or do we take responsibility for the parts that we played and whatever it is going on. So, of course, accountability, well, being accountable as defined by the dictionary is what is required or expected to justify actions or inaction or decisions and being responsible. We're all adults, be responsible. And that's pretty much what it boils down to. So on today, I'm gonna go ahead and let Allison start us off with accountability. Accountability. I don't know why I'm having trouble saying that today. Being accountable in relationships, that'll work. So Allison, you can go ahead and actually, I need to be girl. Just go ahead. Just do your thing. Do your thing.
All right. Well, peace and blessings, everybody. I hope you are having a wonderful Soul Sunday. And what I'm going to discuss is related to accountability in relationships. And this could be romantic, but it can also be related to your family or any level of interaction that you have with people. And as I mentioned to Ruby, when we were coming up with this topic, we do have a lot of people who discuss how you should look for signs. And while I am a proponent for not ignoring what you see when you're dealing with relationships, don't ignore red flags, don't ignore things just because you're in love or the job is great or whatever. I am a proponent of that. But I do also think that so much effort is being put on telling people to look for signs that I don't think people sometimes understand that they're putting the burden of responsibility just on one side of a relationship. While there can be signs, there is also the option of the other party who is doing the lying or the cheating or the abusing or the taking advantage of with projects or any of those other things. There's still that person who's making the decision to behave badly. And so I want to discuss it from that viewpoint, because we don't understand sometimes that it's not so much that a person does it, it's also getting that person who is behaving badly to really try to look themselves in the mirror, grow up a bit, put their pride and their ego to the side, stop looking for reasons to not accept responsibility, and find out, why do you use people? Why do you cheat on people? Why do you lie? Why do you do things that you know will hurt others, especially when there's things that you're doing that you wouldn't want done to you? And so when we're talking about things from that standpoint, I want those of you who may be in a situation where you know you're doing it, you know you're hurting other people, you know that you're taking advantage of someone at work, you know that you're taking advantage of someone at your place of worship, whatever that may be. And you can say that it's because they're nice, or you can, try to push back and say, well, they could always say no, and well, they have a choice, and they do have a choice, but you do as well. So given the fact that you have a choice of treating people the way that you want to be treated, and I'll go even a step further, treating people the way that they're treating you, knowing that you have that option and still deciding that you still want to use, neglect, betray, mislead, manipulate, deceive, or just try to internally destroy that person, it's not a reflection of their character. It's a flaw with yours. And so let's talk about what the root cause of your flaw is. Is there a particular situation that happened that quote unquote changed you? Did you have a
Mm-hmm.
moment in childhood or in a relationship where you were completely invested? Are you upset with God or whatever religious figure that you choose to worship? Have you had something that happened so badly that you just decided being the opposite of who you are hurt less? And even if it meant hurting other people, as long as it meant that you didn't get hurt, you don't care. What are some of those dynamics? What is it that caused that? And more importantly, I want you to understand that what you're doing when you're hurting people that don't deserve it is deciding that you want to spend the rest of your life being who you wish you were with that person or that situation or those people who did you wrong. And all you're doing
Mm-hmm.
is keeping yourself stuck in the past. You're saying, since I was not proactive in catching that these people were going to use me, I'm now going to be reactive going forward, and I'm just going to hurt everybody. I don't care if they get hurt. All I care is that I don't get hurt. But
Mm-hmm.
that is not the way that you're going to heal. All you're doing is spreading the cancer that was given to you. You're spreading
Right.
it to other people. And what you don't understand is, whether you see it or not, the people who did do you wrong, the people that you did give your best to or invest in, who mistreated it or handled it badly, the same way that they're going to have to meet their karma, all you're doing is setting yourself up to meet the same karma. It's an everlasting, never-ending loop that you have to choose to get out of, and you can't get out of it until you decide to face your pain instead of projecting it with everyone who comes into contact with you.
Right. Say that, girl. Say that. Say that. But, and I completely agree. And with listening to what you were saying, all I can think about is I'm petty. I'm savage. I'm petty. I'm
Yep,
savage.
that's
I'm
right.
petty. I'm savage. Like, you
Yes.
bragging on that? It's, of course, those are qualities that we possess
Mm-hmm.
that are supposed to be used and utilized in in a responsible manner. But yet, some
Exactly.
of us choose to run with that. And it's okay, now you're being petty because clearly whatever you experienced, however long ago you experienced it, now you're projecting that on other people and you want to mask it as being petty or you want to mask it as being savage.
Yes.
But then at the end of the day, how do you really feel about that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does that really affect you when you do this day in and day out? Like you said, it's a never ending cycle. And you may think you're healing from it, or you may have some temporary gratification, but in the long run, you're doing not only yourself a disservice, but of course, everybody else.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I'm gonna need people to stop with the petty and the savage. I'm not saying stop being petty. I'm not saying stop being savage. But what I am saying is learn when to and when not to.
Exactly.
I see entirely too much of that, and it's ridiculous, really.
It is. I agree.
And then, and of course, we both are advocates for self.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you wouldn't want anybody to do you that way, and you know how it felt to be treated a certain way. But I mean, I guess I just don't get that. I think differently, I do things differently, and I react differently. But some people, they just clearly just do not have a conscience and don't care. Or either, they do this, they put up a front, and then, you go to the house, they sitting in the corner crying, rocking back and forth, upset because, they in their feelings and don't know how to deal with what they've been dealing with for years.
And
You know
I'll
what?
even
Be
give it
petty and savage towards yourself. How about that? Try that out.
exactly. I'll even give an example. A lot of you who follow me, and for those who are going to be new followers, a lot of my organization came out of a relationship that I was in that I did not know was narcissistic. I had never heard of the term, so I didn't know what to look for. But
Mm-hmm.
during one of the reconciliation phases, one of the things that my ex, or the narcissist I dated, I don't want to take ownership of that situation at all. But one of the things that he actually admitted to me, he was married for uh, almost, he was with his ex-wife for almost 20 years. They were married for 17. During most of that time, there were certain things that he wanted her to do that she didn't do. And I think it was related to respect and affection and stuff like that. I don't want to put all this business out in the street. But one of the things that he said to me is that he was mean to me because the things that I was doing so easily that his ex-wife wasn't doing, all it did in him was bring up more anger over the time that he wasted thinking that she would change. And
Mm-hmm.
all it did was bring up anger in him over the fact that he now had proof that what he was asking for from her wasn't that hard. Because here I was doing it willingly, easily, without having to ask. But instead of him allowing himself to put himself in a place to receive it, all he did was use that as fuel for anger because he was still not over the divorce.
Uh-huh.
And there are some of us who do that. We put our all into a relationship and we have not yet figured out that we did the right things for the wrong person. We're just
Mm-hmm.
focused on how much time we put into the things we did, and we're not ready to let go of the fact I did everything right. She just wasn't the one. He just wasn't the one. And so one does come along who wants everything that you did for the wrong person, but you're still so frustrated, jaded, upset, mad about the time that you can't get back that you won't open up and give it to the person in front of you who really wants it and would appreciate it because you're
Mm-hmm.
just mad. And I'll go so far as to say I've seen situations where the closer a person gets, the more sure that they are that this person is not like the others, the worse they begin to treat them. They start giving silent treatment.
Wow.
They do disappearing acts. They start acting like they can take them or leave them. It's like it's more important to them to prove to the person that wants to be there that they don't
Mm-hmm.
need them there. And it's all ego. It's all fear. It's all anger. It's all unhealed, unresolved emotions. And even though there is a reason behind it, even if you are acting like that because of how you were treated, you are still making the decision to mistreat another person. And you're going to pay
Mm-hmm.
for that. So you have to
Yeah.
decide, do you want to stay angry with your past? And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things that I've gone through that I wish I could say I hadn't gone through. There are things I wish I
Uh-huh.
could do differently. But do I want to stay focused on what I can't fix? Or do I want to just say at some point down the line, I believe that the universe is going to show me why that was necessary and just
Right.
leave it alone until I reach that point down the line. Because when you do that, you now free yourself to enjoy what's coming towards you. Because here's the secret. If you really did do your best to someone else by default, you just planted the seed to have better.
Right.
So prepare yourself to receive the better that you deserve for what you did.
I
That's all.
agree. And I guess that's why I don't get people and how people miss that. How
Mm-hmm.
people I don't, and it goes back to mindset. I'm not even gonna, sit up here and pretend like that's not an issue. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's so many different things that can contribute to why a person does the things that they do when they hurt other people. It could be
Right.
mindset, it could be past experiences, it could be just because they're simply a bad person
Mm-hmm.
and that's just what they do.
Yep.
But the point of this particular one is to start to hold yourself accountable. And it's
Yes.
just like always with me, effective communication is a big thing. And when I say effective communication, I'm not just referring to being able to talk and being able to listen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm referring to being able to clearly communicate what it is that you're saying, your thoughts, your ideas, and as well as listening, not only listening to respond, but listening to understand, listening to learn, and all of this other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But you have to learn to effectively communicate with yourself
Mm-hmm.
and in order to understand why you're doing these things. And it's just like, effective communication is just a whole nother thing altogether. But it's just when you don't clearly communicate with yourself and understand why you're doing certain things and the reason or what triggers it, then you
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to fix it.
Right.
You can be sitting in the bathroom right now where you know you was wrong for doing that, talking to yourself.
Mm.
Well, I just did it. It's over. And it's just like, why were you wrong for doing that? Do you
Yeah.
completely understand why you were wrong? And once you understand why you were wrong, what triggered it?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's learn to effectively communicate with yourself.
Yes.
And if you learn to effectively communicate with yourself, then you can effectively communicate with other people.
That's true. 100%. Yep.
Now, of course, we've definitely touched on accountability. I'm going to get it right in relationships, but we also have to realize that you have to be held accountable when it comes to the business side of things. This is
Yes.
something that applies to us personally. It also applies to us professionally.
That's
And I'm
right.
gonna keep saying it, and I'm always say it, and I'm gonna keep saying it. You cannot separate personal from professional. You can try, you can mask it, you can do whatever you feel like you need to do, but you can't separate it because it comes from the same source,
Right.
which is you. So if you are not holding yourself accountable personally, you're not gonna hold yourself accountable professionally.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is, okay, you have this career, you're at this job, or even being a business owner. You, as a business owner, of course, if it's your business, you have to make all of the business decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we don't always make the best decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But when a bad decision is made, you can't pretend like it wasn't your fault. It's just like, come on now.
For real.
You knew it was not a good idea when you were like, okay, let's do this. And even after you said it out your mouth, you really didn't even believe it. But
Exactly.
okay, you're gonna go with it. That's what we're gonna go with. That's what we're gonna go with. But you have to learn to hold yourself accountable for all of the business decisions that you make, good or bad. And if they're bad decisions, I don't know why I can't talk today. You know what? It was all that dressing I ate. But if you can't, you have to be hold yourself accountable for the results of those decisions.
Yeah.
And don't look at it as it being detrimental. Look
Mm-hmm.
at it as a way of it's a learning experience.
Right.
Okay, now you know not to do this in business, and so going forward, don't do it. Or either
Mm-hmm.
next time, take just a little more time to think about the decision that you made
Right.
before making it again, or
Yes.
consult with some people, but hold yourself accountable for those decisions. Even as an employee, as an employee, when I was working, I made some bad decisions. They told us we had 7 points before before we were up for termination. So that meant as long as I didn't get to 7, I could take off as many days as I wanted to, or take time off or leave work early, whatever it is that I wanted to do. So I was one of those people where I would go to the max. It was just enough not to get fired. I would be at 6.75 points. I ain't got 7, so y'all can't terminate me. But I'm just saying. But I'm just saying. Even as an employee, we make these decisions, and it's just like, really, Ruby, was that a really good decision for you to do that? What if
Right.
something would have happened? What if you really would have needed to take a full day and you only
Mm-hmm.
got 0.25 points? You can't
Mm-hmm.
do that.
Mm-hmm.
And, that was just a very small example, but I know it's some people that work these jobs that are making horrible decisions,
Yeah.
like stealing social security numbers, like giving people false information about their insurance plan, and just all kind of stuff. I mean, yeah, when I was working, I've sold insurance. I'm not saying I was the one giving the false information, but I've heard it. I've just
Yeah.
heard people just giving incorrect information, and then when the company comes to you, like, you want to go listen to this call, be like, nah, I won't listen to it. I know what I said. But still, you have to be held accountable for that decision that you made And whenever you get fired for it, don't get mad and blame the company. You knew good and well what you did. You
Exactly.
knew good and well what you were saying. You knew good and well you was doing some stuff you ain't had no business doing.
Yep.
But what I'm saying is that you have to be held accountable whether you own a business, and even if you're an employee, it still works the same way.
Mm-hmm.
So now you out here being petty, hurting people in your relationship. Then you go to work lying to people. It's a never
It's
ending
all messed
cycle.
up.
Right. It's just like, so at what point are you gonna check yourself? Like for real, for real,
Yeah,
for real. Are you
you're
gonna sit
right.
out and have this conversation like Ruby? Or be like, self, let me ask you something, self. Is this really what you want to do, self? And self say, you know what? Self, you correct. Y'all know that meme with Kermit the Frog and his ego or whoever that other
Yep.
Kermit the Frog is. Y'all need to let that person go. That person's gonna get you in trouble. But anyway, um, also when it comes to business and working, we have a tendency to make excuses whenever we don't want to be held accountable.
Yes.
And that's, that also happens personally. It's just like if you are actively hurting this person in this relationship, or you're actively making these bad decisions at this job or owning this business, but then when somebody else comes to you and say, well, hey, that's not right, why are you doing this, then you making excuses. Well, she this, or well, he that. And no, why are you making excuses, and why are you trying to blame somebody else for something you did, for something
Exactly.
that you've been doing?
That's
Stop
right.
that.
Yeah.
Don't make excuses. That's another way to check yourself. Do not make excuses. It's easy.
It's very easy. It
Wait,
is.
wait, you got something to say? You want to
Yeah.
piggyback on that? Okay, go
I do
ahead.
want to piggyback, especially when you were talking about the 6.75 points and the 7 points. You know, just for those of you who are in situations like that, part of being accountable is also understanding um, what was out of your control versus what was just poor planning. And
Mm-hmm.
so, you know, your battery dying, that's out of your control. You catching a cold, unless you were just, deciding to run out in 30-degree weather with no coat, that's also out of your control. But you needing gas, and then you have to stop for gas, and then it causes you to be late, and you get caught behind traffic. That's not an emergency. That's poor planning. You saw that
Mm-hmm.
needle the night before. You just didn't want to get up and get the gas that would have helped you to get to work on time. You, I'll even go so far, and some people will disagree, but even childcare, it's fine if you're a single parent, especially if you're a single parent. Most single parents know that we have to live by not plan B, but plan C through Z. We need to always have something that we can fall back on, because the one thing that we know in terms of single parenthood, we know two things. We know that the responsibility is on us, and we also know that stuff is going to happen out of our control, and it will never come at a convenient time. So
Mm-hmm.
to come in and say, well, I couldn't get to daycare, or I got to daycare later, or the daycare closed, or whatever, that's where, as hard as it may be to accept, and as hard as it may be to plan, because you are exhausted as a single parent, you don't want to think of how you have to consider everything, but you do. You need 3 babysitters. You need 5 if three have let you down. You've got to put yourself in a place where you're saying, I'm not just going to say I'm the boss. I'm going to be the boss, because that's the part that we don't understand. The words sound good. And when you're getting accolades, you're running a business, or you're in charge, or you can fire people and say yes and no, all of that, it feels so good. You walk away feeling like you got all this power. But with
Right.
power comes responsibility. And like Ruby said, if you make a mistake and it costs your business, even if you're not the owner, let's say you're the CEO, fine, you're getting the
Mm-hmm.
CEO pay, you're getting the CEO perks, you got your stock options, you got $1 million that's coming for you. But if you make a mistake that could take the whole company down, you're still the boss. Now, you may have to be the boss that steps down, You may have to be the, you
Sorry.
may have to be the boss that has to own up to the fact that you screwed up, but you can't have the good and not step up when it's not as much fun. You got to
Right.
do both. You got to do, that is what an entrepreneur is. You best
Right.
believe if I knock it out the box, I'm gonna make sure you know I did it. But you can also best believe if I screw it up, I'm gonna let you know I did it.
Right. Right.
And
You
that's
can't be
just
half accountable. You got to be
everything.
fully accountable.
Exactly. You got to be fully, if you want all the benefits, you got to take all of the risk associated with it, all of the hits, just as well as all of the wins. That's just how, and more importantly, no one can run a business by themselves. So what you're doing is also
No.
building character. At
Mm-hmm.
some point, you're going to have a staff. You're going to have a team. Even if you just have 3 or 4 people, no one wants to work for somebody that's going to immediately point fingers when stuff goes wrong. They want to report to somebody and work for somebody they respect. You know, the biggest way to get respect from people? Admit when you're wrong, own up
Mm-hmm.
to it, publicly acknowledge it. If you made a
And
public
correct
screw
it.
up, you need to do a public apology and leave your pride at the door. Nobody wants to follow pride or ego, not very long, no matter how much money you give them. So
No.
build your character
Oh,
so that the
okay.
people, huh?
No, go ahead. You good.
Build your character so that the people who eventually want to come work for you know what type of person you are. They know you got their back, and you're also
Mm-hmm.
going to take those hits, because just like you're the boss when it's good, they're going to see that you're the boss when it's not so good. And that's how you develop respect, a following, and people who want to be connected to you.
Right. So we got to stay focused. We got to stay on topic.
My bad.
But you cannot be half accountable. You got to be fully accountable for the good,
Yes.
the bad, and the ugly.
Yes.
And then also understand that a part of being held accountable is being open to learning, being open to
Mm-hmm.
education, being open to development. Um, Whenever you do wrong or whenever something doesn't quite go the way you expected it to go,
Yeah.
be open to learn from it. Be open to some correction and to some criticism and to some constructive criticisms.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, how do you expect to be better, or how do you expect to not repeat this again if you're not open to learning?
Exactly.
If you're not open to even correcting what it is you messed up. So
Right.
that's what I wanted to add to what you were saying. You have to be open. You have to also be able to find a viable solution or a resolution to what it is you just jacked up. Don't just jack
Yes.
it up. Don't take responsibility for it and then just leave it.
Yeah.
At least try to correct it and clean it up. And then if you can't, then maybe like, Allison said, you might not be getting that $1 million in stock options and all this other stuff no more. So that's the risk you take.
Yep.
When you make a mistake, you don't hold yourself accountable, you don't apologize for it, and then you don't even try to fix it.
Exactly.
So
So
when you're
true.
checking yourself, check yourself and be like, you know what? That was a learning experience. How can what just happened make me a better person?
Mm-hmm.
Take that and go with it. Work with it. I mean, do y'all know how much stuff I be jacking up and messing up, and y'all y'all would not. Let me tell y'all this one quick story. But I was accountable though. I held myself accountable. I'm not saying everybody's cool with it, but I held myself accountable. I was at this job, and the job that I had, I was paid hourly as well as making commission. So, it was a good paying job, and we had a lot of little extra bonuses and whatever and whatever. But me being the type of person that I am, I'm I'm entrepreneur minded. I was like, I'm me working for somebody else. That's my personality does not work well with that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we were in this, monthly meeting. And at this particular point, I had artistics and I was, on my way out the door anyway. Like, I'm about to get y'all to deuces for real. But I was sitting in the meeting and then, the director, which he's the director over my department. So it wasn't like it was my direct report. It was, somebody above her. So he asked the question like right now, because of course he thought this company was all great and all that. And yeah. But anyway, he asked the question, if you were on the street right now, or if you were not necessarily on the street, but if you were looking for a job, how many of you would come and apply here? So mind you, it's like maybe 20 to 30 people in this meeting. Everybody raised their hand, but me. And I was sitting there looking at everybody else like, I'm being honest. Like, I wouldn't come apply here because my mindset is somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that's not where my mindset is. So, of course, nobody bothered to ask me why I didn't raise my hand because I would have clearly explained it to them.
Right.
But, he was looking at me, everybody looking at me like something wrong with me. First of all, I ain't trying to get no raise up in here because y'all not finna ask me to be a manager and then pay me less than what I deserve doing more work than what I was doing. When I can work some overtime, give me some commission, and still get more than what she getting.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about my manager. But anyway, and I'm just like, I wouldn't come apply here. Y'all might, and that's good for y'all and whatever. But then, we went on with the meeting after everybody looked at me crazy, including the director. And, towards the end, he was just like, well, I appreciate everybody for raising their hand. And I was just like, see that? That's why I'm leaving this job in a minute. But the thing is, it was, I was accountable for not raising my hand, knowing good and well what would happen. But it was like, you know what? I would rather be known for being honest and being open with who I am.
Right.
And whatever the consequences were from me doing that, then, I was willing to deal with it. I didn't get fired or nothing like that. But of course, he went right upstairs and told my manager on me, like, do you realize I'm grown? And
wow.
That, just kind of, and I was just like, you know what, maybe you could have used that as an opportunity, to learn something from and learn and understand that everybody doesn't feel like this is the best place to work, whether they just don't like it or whether their mindset is somewhere else.
Exactly. Yep.
But no matter how small or how big it is, be accountable for it. Be responsible for whatever it is that you decide to do. And if he would have asked me, then I would have told him exactly why. I mean, he ain't allowed me to do no type of damage control, which I really didn't damage nothing, but still.
Yeah.
I was like, that's probably one of them times I could have just, took one for the team and raised my hand. But I was just, no, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
That's not. But I'm sorry, that was kind of off topic because I was talking about, whenever you make a bad decision, something bad happens and you are responsible and you take accountability for it, be willing to learn from it. Be willing to look at it as an opportunity for development.
Right.
And get better.
I agree.
Now, with talking about, we've already talked a little bit about accountability in relationships. See, I said it. And then we talked about accountability in business. Now we are going to kind of shift to accountability to ourselves.
Yes.
And the reason that I wanted to touch on that is because we feel like we owe so much to everybody else. And sometimes we forget that we owe ourselves. We have to be responsible for ourselves. We have to be accountable for the things that we do to ourselves. Like, for instance, a lot of us will say, of course, everybody's big on credit, making sure you have good credit, making sure this and this and this and that. But then, of course, some of us had those parents where we 8 years old with water in our name, with electricity in our name, it's like I'm not even old enough to understand what's going on, but I got bills. I got credit already.
Yeah.
And by the time you become an adult, your credit already jacked up. And so you just decide to leave it jacked up and say, well, my parents messed it up and, whatever, so I'm just going to leave it as is. So you do realize you were 8. And I'm pretty sure if you were 8 years old, and you understood what was going on, you would probably be like, well, no, mommy, you would say something because
Exactly.
all kids, they have no filter. So you would have said something. But you mean to tell me at some point when you became an adult, you decided to just let it go? You didn't feel like, well, you know what, even though they jacked me up, let me be accountable at this particular point going forward and fix it or do what I need to do to make sure my credit gets cleaned up. And
Right.
that's just in us one example. It's um it amazes me how much we want to blame on other people. Like for instance, in relationships, you're in a relationship and this person is abusive, is verbally abusive, or whatever the case may be. And it's like, okay, up to some point, you can blame them. But then at some particular point, you have to start blaming yourself because you're still there. You're still in that situation and you're still dealing with it. And that's us having accountability to ourselves because we that's just like me having the same conversation with myself. Self, why are you still here? Well, I'm still here because, and there you go, making excuses. Why are you giving yourself those excuses? Why are you making it okay to continue to blame this on somebody else? At some particular point in time, you got to, whatever the consequences may be, you got to decide to do better. That's all I'm saying. What you think, Allison?
I agree. I agree. We have to, in the last example you gave, that's exactly what I would say to both the person being abused and the abuser. I would say the
Mm-hmm.
exact same thing that you said to both of them because it boils down to accountability. You know that he or she is continuing to abuse you and it's not right that they're doing it, but when are you going to choose you? When are you going to
Mm-hmm.
decide that you deserve better? And I understand the psychological stuff behind it. I get all that too. But what steps would you take if you had everything at your disposal where you could leave? It wasn't an issue of money. It wasn't an issue of you being afraid for your life. It wasn't an issue of you not being able to take care of you and your children. If you had all of those things at your disposal, would you go? And if you can't emphatically say, yes, I would, then we have an underlying issue not related to the excuses that you're giving. So let's discuss what that issue is. And I would do
Right.
the same thing with the one abusing. Okay, you can say she's stupid. You can say he's stupid. You can say he or she could always leave. But why are you continuing to punish somebody for being patient with you? Why are you continuing to
Yeah.
punish somebody for doing their best, even to their own detriment, to see more good in you than bad? You could leave. You could decide that you're not in the place that you need to be in. So, what part of you is allowing you to stay? Could it be selfishness? Could it be ego? Could it be pride? Could it be the fact that you're so weak you get off on seeing someone else walking on eggshells around you? Let's talk about that too.
Girl, yes. I'm sorry. It was just when you said walking on eggshells, it's just like, why would you just make somebody's life uncomfortable like that? And
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, do you get a kick out of that for real? But another topic for another day.
Yes.
But when a lot of times when we talk about accountability, we always talk about the stuff that we did that didn't go so right
Mm-hmm.
and then having to fix it.
Yeah.
But accountability also comes into play when there's inaction,
Mm-hmm.
when there are things that you didn't decide to do that you should
Mm-hmm.
have,
Mm-hmm.
or um, even just as simple as saying something that you should have said. Now, it can get to a point where, let's say, for instance, if you see someone, even if you see this abusive relationship, you're not even in it. And I understand some people say stay in your lane and mind your business and all that good stuff. Yeah, whatever. But if you see this abusive relationship, and I mean, I don't deal with all levels of crazy. Some people are crazy and violent. Some people are
Yeah.
crazy and you can't deal with all levels of crazy,
Right.
but some levels of okay, not all there you can deal with.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you see this relationship, for you not to say something, let's say to somebody that's close to you, a really good friend, for you not to say something, it's just like to some degree, you have to hold yourself accountable for not saying something. I'm not saying take it so far to the point where if something really bad happens, then it's your fault. No, that's not what I'm saying at
Mm-hmm.
all. It's just as a human being, seeing what's going on to some degree, we have to take care of each other. Even if it's just us pointing out, well, you do, well, I see, I know you see, do you think you need to be in that situation? And if they tell you, you know what, mind your business, that's it. That's as
Yeah.
far as your level of
Yeah.
accountability goes to.
Right.
But for you to sit there and pretend like, nothing's happening if you've never said anything, then it's just like, okay, to some degree, you have that accountability to yourself. And that's only me saying that because if the shoe was on the other foot, then some of us would want somebody to say the smallest thing.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us are just waiting for somebody to say you okay for us to just throw it all out there and ask for some
Yeah.
help
Yeah.
or just want to talk to somebody.
Yep.
And sometimes we just have to understand that even us being held accountable does have to do with us not doing something, us not saying something, and us just simply ignoring stuff.
It's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. And we have to, even if it hurts, even if it involves you potentially doing something that can make that person hate you. Like
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple of older women in my life, very wise women, who made it clear that if any of their children did something that would cause them to go to prison, they didn't need to expect a visit. They didn't need to expect any money on their books. They didn't need to expect any phone calls until they got
Mm-hmm.
out. And they told them this growing up. So the kids knew. And both of these women had at least one kid who ended up going to prison. And now that kid is bitter because the whole time they were in prison, they didn't get a call. They didn't get any money on their books. They didn't do any of those things. And they said,
Mm-hmm.
and the mothers were basically like, look, if I know that you're being framed, I got you. I'll do whatever it is I need to do if there is any chance that someone is lying and costing you your freedom. But if you're
Right.
doing something and I know you've done it, I'm not going to waste my time trying to ask a judge to let you off the hook for something that I wouldn't let someone off the hook if they had done it to you.
Right.
And so there are, a couple of instances where they have kids who are mad at them, still bitter, claiming that they're not real mothers. They're not real. But the thing is, what your mother did was hold you accountable. She didn't decide to enable you. She didn't decide to coddle you. She didn't just decide
Right.
to make the fact that you murdered somebody not a big deal because you are still alive and that other person's child isn't. They said, no, I raised you to do better. You chose not to do better. And you're going to pay for
Mm-hmm.
what you chose to do. I'm not going to pay for it. And it's moments like that where accountability can get hard because you
Mm-hmm.
love the person, especially if it's your child. You gave birth to them and all these other things. But that's where you have to remember that our children pass through us. They are we're their passageway to their own lives.
Mm-hmm.
And we can teach them, we can train them, but they still have to make their own decisions. And when we have those situations, whether it's parents or if we're being abused, we have to decide, I'm not going to keep making excuses for why you treat me the way you do. I'm not going to keep making
Mm-hmm.
excuses for why you do the things you do. You're grown, and I'm just going to have to sit back and let you eat whatever it is you decide to sit down and eat.
And I completely understand that, and I completely agree.
Yeah.
And that's how this whole thing comes full circle with
Mm-hmm.
being held accountable and checking yourself.
Yep.
Because if you would have checked yourself before you did whatever you did, you wouldn't be in that situation. If you had
Right.
held yourself accountable for making a dumb decision, you wouldn't be in that situation. But checking ourselves is basically before we're actually doing anything or not doing anything, is taking that time out to communicate with ourselves and thinking this through. That
Yes.
whole effective communication, but with ourselves. It's like take some time to think about what you about to do, what you about to say, what you're not about to do, and try to see it from different point of views. It's just like um I like to say the same amount of time it takes you to do something negative is the same amount of time it takes you to decide to do something positive.
I like it.
And if you would just take some time and think about it, like for instance, um, before you go rob a bank, I don't know who out there robbing banks, but I'm just using that for an example. It's just like, okay, you know what? I need some money right now, blah, 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 this and this and that. I'm about to go rob this bank. Hold on. Hold on. Like, stop yourself. Literally,
Right.
stop yourself.
Yes.
Say, well, okay, if I go rob this bank, then what's going to possibly happen? You're going to get some money and get away. You might get some money, get away, get caught. You might not get no money at all. You might die. You might get shot. You might go to jail, blah, 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 this and this and that. And then think about, okay, if I do this, then that's what's going to happen. Now, what if I don't do it? Okay, if you don't do it, you'll still be living. You might still be broke. You might still be, but just be real with yourself. It's
Yeah.
just like, but I live to see another day. I ain't out here messing with nobody. I ain't got to worry about this, this, and that. Okay, so realistically, do you really want to go rob this bank? Or do you maybe just want to see if you can, ask somebody, can you borrow some money? Because if you ask somebody, can you borrow some money, then they either gonna tell you no, or either they'll give it to you. But in that particular situation, just take some time to think about what it is that you're doing.
That is
I'm
so
not saying
important.
just out
Yes.
here and just be making decisions off the cuff because
Right.
you act like you don't have the capacity to think and comprehend and understand and know that there are consequences to every single action that you do.
Yes. That's right.
And you know what? Take the time to just really think about it and be
Mm-hmm.
like, really what I want to do. And not only that, how is it going to make you feel? How is it going to affect other people? How is this going to, since people be so concerned about their reputation and what other people think, do y'all really think what other people think when you making these decisions that you shouldn't be making? No, because at that particular point, you're really not giving any, you know, at that particular time because you out here doing what you want to do.
Right.
And it's just like, no, you got to check yourself on that too. We just got to do better with checking ourselves, period.
We do. We do. And
Y'all
understand
know
we
little
won't
kids
die
ain't got
from
no
it.
problem checking adults at all.
Mm-mm.
The kids give it to you straight. Then you'll be like, what? Did this little kid check me? You need to be like that with yourself.
You really do.
Don't act like you got ready to leave the house and your child be like, you wearing that? And then you start second guessing your whole outfit that you done took days to pick. All the way down to the shoes and the jewelry, the hairstyle and everything. Your child looking at you. Nikki, yes, exactly. London. But, yeah, I'm sorry. We just been talking. I thank everybody that's been watching and listening and chiming in. But it's just like we need to start checking ourselves like our kids be checking these adults because
Yes.
kids ain't got no filter, no tact. They don't care about your feelings.
At all. At all.
And when you checking yourself, you need to not care about your feelings. That's the one thing one time you really don't need to be in your feelings. Check
That is
yourself.
so true.
Like
Yes.
I said, check yourself before you wreck yourself. And that's, you know what? We can talk forever on these topics that we be talking on,
We
but
can.
you
Yeah.
know what? I think I'm pretty good. shared enough information.
I agree.
Well, where somebody will get something out of it.
Yes,
If
yes,
don't
they
nobody
will.
else get nothing out of it, I got some out of it. I make sure
Oh,
that
I
I check
did.
myself regularly every day. I always have to check myself in this attitude that I got. Trust me. Some of y'all be leaving comments and I'll be like, wait, hold on, bring it back. Bring it back. Now, Ruby, as a business owner,
There you go. There you go.
so I check myself every single day. Every day.
That's a good practice. Yep.
Y'all need to start checking yourselves more often. But it's been fun with another soul
Yes.
day. And oh, the soul to soul tip of the day. These are basically just little tips that we're gonna be giving you. Allison, you gotta come up with the next one because I was sitting here like,
Okay.
hmm, hmm, girl. But the tip today is to love on yourself. And when I say love on yourself, what I'm saying is go into your phone or your calendar or whatever it is and just set up random reminders to send yourself love notes. If it's,
Mm-hmm.
hey, beautiful, you are doing wonderful, keep going, and you schedule it for January 1st at 2:35 p.m., do that. Or if it's, hey, handsome, you know what? You did that. You did that last night. Whatever it might be, set it for December 15th at 1:35 a.m. or whatever time it is. But just get in the habit of scheduling yourself little love notes. Just do it randomly because, of
Mm-hmm.
course, you expect it. It's gonna come through, and when you read it, it'll make you smile. It'll make you feel better, and just do that. If you want somebody else to send you some little texts, just like "Good morning, beautiful," and whatever, do it for yourself. If you're not
That's
doing it for
right.
yourself, expect nobody else to do it for you.
Yes. I love that. I love
So, I love on me every day, every day.
it.
Oh, but I'm gonna sit that me some though, you know, so I can see it when I first get up in the morning, and I'll be like, "Hey, stop." But that's our soul to soul tip for this week.
Yes.
Um, just like last week, we don't know what our topic gonna be for. You know what? I'm gonna pick a topic right now. Whoo. Okay. Allison, next week we're gonna talk about setting the standard with self,
I
and
like
that's
it.
basically. You know what? Y'all have to tune in next week to figure out what it's going to be about. But it's going to be setting the standard with self.
I like it.
So, again, I'm Ruby D of Ruby D Artistry, another goddess entrepreneur. Be sure that y'all go online and, yes, shameless plug, go buy my book, thegoddessgrind.com. It is on sale right now. It's 25% off. Thegoddessgrind.com. And visit the website. It's all kind of goodies on there. Y'all can follow me on Instagram at Ruby D Artistry. My Facebook page, business page, Ruby D Artistry. Twitter, Ruby D 1980. And right here on Facebook.
This is Allison Denise. You can find me under Allison Denise on Facebook. You can also find me under Be Still and Move. Spell all the words out. You can also find our secret group, which is Be Still and Move with an exclamation point. I'm on Instagram and YouTube under I Will Be Still and Move. And I hit Twitter every now and then under Be Still and Move. Make sure you subscribe to my website, bestillandmove.org. We've got some great things that are coming down the line in 2018. So go ahead and get yourself signed up for newsletters and blog entries and all that good stuff.
Go buy my book. Go buy my book. Let me stop. Oh, another thing for y'all business owners, y'all better go to vistaprint.com. Y'all see my little lovely thing I have
Yes.
here? So yes, it's a big old picture of me because I love myself. I told y'all to do that. Start loving on yourself. Celebrate
That's right.
yourself. Because ain't
Yes.
nobody gonna get it for you if you don't.
That's right.
Make sure you get you some business cards and whatever else you might need for your business. But they're having an amazing sale. So we will see you next week. Be sure to like and whatever else y'all can do. But we thank you all for tuning in to Soul Sunday with Ruby and
Thank
Allison. We will see you
you.
next Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Yes. Peace.